Buena gente, enseguida iniciamos. Estoy con unos pequeños problemas de internet, pero parece de que ahora está funcionando, Denme 2 minutos e iniciamos directo, gente. Bueno, gente, aún tengo pequeños problemas en la conexión. De acá a un minuto estaremos ya full, en directo. Buenas, ¿qué tal gente? Bienvenidos todos a un nuevo directo, bienvenidos aquí nuevamente al canal, bienvenidos a Lanzamientos Espaciales. Aquí estamos para disfrutar de un nuevo lanzamiento de SpaceX y la NASA, lanzamiento de la misión CRS-29, una nueva misión de reabastecimiento a la Estación Espacial Internacional. Pero bueno, antes que nada, quiero pedir disculpas por los retrasos. Estaba pensado empezar hace 10 minutos, pero no había internet. No había internet. O sea, había internet, pero no había velocidad. O sea, me saltaba de que había conexión, pero no había velocidad en descargas. Hacía speed test, así, y no andaba. Justo a último momento se decidió por andar y parece de que ahora está estabilizando. Así que si se les corta un poquito, no se preocupen mucho por el lado de ustedes, que puede ser de por mi lado. Pero bueno, estamos a 5 minutos con 40. Parece que todos los sistemas están en verde para el lanzamiento. Primera etapa B1081, que va a volar por segunda vez. Esta etapa lanzó anteriormente la misión Crew 6. La cápsula, si no me equivoco, es la C211. No puedo fijarme, sí, acá. La C211, que realizará su segundo vuelo. A ver una cosa. Tenía bastantes cosas preparadas para este directo, por eso pensaba iniciar el tema en unos 15 minutos, pero internet. Aunque bueno, les quiero comentar una cosa, que se va a estrenar en este lanzamiento, si todo sale bien, que es stream no comentado, o sea, stream hosteado. O sea que mientras estamos acá en directo, yo voy a iniciar en paralelo, en este mismo canal, otro stream para el seguimiento de la cápsula. Bueno, estamos hasta menos 4 minutos. Me voy a meter un segundito que voy a iniciar ese otro directo. Necesita regreso.
As we get a little closer to liftoff, and then we did hear that call out that they are preparing for strong back retract. That is the TE that I just mentioned. And maybe a little hard to see, but the clamp arms should be opening very slowly there. Again, they are the arms just below the dragon that you see there on your screen. And there you can see those clamp arms opening up. And again, as a reminder, the booster on your screen is flying for its second time, and will be landing back on land at landing zone 1, which is not too far from the launch site. And there you can see that the clamp arms look like they're fully open now. That transport erector can now begin to move away from the vehicle. It will also be pretty slow and slight, but just enough to allow some room for the vehicle for liftoff.
And at T-minus 3 minutes, 22 seconds and counting, we are waiting for a call for Stage 1 liquid oxygen loading complete. This launch will take about 6,000 pounds of hardware, crew supplies, and science to the space station.
Stage 1 LOX load complete.
And there we have the call we were waiting for. Stage 1 LOX load complete. That is the liquid oxygen. One of the larger pieces of equipment that CRS-29 is carrying tonight is a technology demo.
Bueno, parece que no me va a dejar iniciarlo ahora. Pero bueno, estamos a T-2 minutos con 45 segundos. Parece que todos los temas están go. Despegue desde la plataforma LZ-39A, en la base perdón, en el Kennedy Space Center. Bueno, se viene el despegue ahora en breve instante. Por cierto, estamos haciendo el stream, no estamos en directo desde Twitter. O sea, me refiero, no estamos viendo la transmisión de Twitter ni de YouTube. Estamos en la nueva plataforma de la NASA, en NASA Plus. Quise probarla mientras estaba en directo y parece que está yendo bastante bien. Así que espero que Elon aprenda para el lanzamiento de la Starship, que puede ser este próximo 15 de noviembre. Bueno, pasamos pantalla completa, por cierto, transiciones nuevas tenemos. Bueno, se vienen muchas mejoras en el canal. Ahora en un rato iniciamos, o sea, poco después que finalice este directo, planeo iniciar el stream hosteado, si es que me deja ese PC que me está dando lucha. Y bueno, estamos a 1 minuto con 25 segundos para el despegue. A ver, parece todos los sistemas están en verde. Se viene el despegue de un nuevo Falcon 9.
-1 minute 5 seconds and counting. Soon the Falcon 9 computers will enter startup mode.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
And there we have the call from the launch director. Falcon 9 computers have...
Bueno, cuando estamos a menos de 1 minuto, Falcon 9 ya toma control de la cuenta regresiva por sí mismo, pasa a alimentarse de sus baterías internas. Bueno. Go for launch. Tenemos el go para el lanzamiento. El director de vuelo ya dio el go para el despegue del Falcon 9. Y una cosa. Ahí están diciendo que la ventana instantánea.
259 miles over the Arabian Sea near the coast of Oman. We are...
Sí, por lo que veo mucho delay en la transmisión esta. A ver. Sí, mucho delay en la transmisión esta. Bueno. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Encendido de los 9 motores, me río 1D y... despegue.
And liftoff of CRS-29 carrying cargo, research, and a laser communication.
Pressure is nominal.
A laser communications demonstrator to the International Space Station, now in its 25th year of orbital operations.
Nominal power and telemetry.
La telemetría es nominal, informan. Por cierto, para esta misión no solamente tenemos nuestra cobertura en vivo en YouTube, esta que están viendo ahora, sino que tenemos cobertura en vivo desde el sitio web, que Teo es un grande, se está encargando de esa cobertura en el sitio web. Increíble. Parece que tengo bastante delay en la transmisión.
Now with that, we have 5 events coming up that will be back to back. First will be main engine cutoff. Main engine is that what you see on your screen, those 9 Merlin engines are lit up.
Buena imagen.
But we will have MECO, which is main engine cutoff.
Me encanta ver así los gases cómo se van expandiendo. Es algo que me encanta, es algo como que digo, wow.
Which is where the first and second stages will separate from each other. Then the first stage will perform a flip to head back to our launch site for landing, while the second stage continues to light its Merlin vacuum engine to boost Dragon to low Earth orbit during SES-1 or second stage start 1.
Bueno, es que esta imagen me encanta. Y ahora se viene la separación de ambas etapas.
Again, those events are coming up here in a few seconds. Main engine cutoff, stage separation, stage 1 flip, second stage engine start, and the boost back burn for that first stage.
Ahí tenemos el apagado de los 9 motores más de 1D. Ahí tenemos separación mecánica de ambas etapas confirmada. Y encendido del motor Merlin 1D utilizado para el vacío. Y mientras tanto, la primera etapa de B1081 estará realizando un encendido de boost back. A ver si le captan las cámaras en tierra. A ver si nos cambian las cámaras en tierra. Me parece que no. Pero bueno, ahí vemos el encendido de boost back.
Left hand side there on your screen, you can see the first stage in its boost back burn. Some really awesome views there. On your right hand screen is a view from the second stage looking at the MVAC engine. Again, this is just about a minute burn for this boost back burn on the first stage. It is the first of 3 burns required to bring the first stage back to landing zone 1.
Ahí estaban diciendo que la primera etapa aterrizará sobre landing zone 1. O sea, zona de aterrizaje 1. Ahí está el apagado de los 3 motores Merlin 1D que se encendieron para el encendido de pushback. Que esos mismos se encenderán para el encendido de reentrada. Son los motores 1, 5 y 9. El motor 9 es el central.
A live webcast for the 29th commercial resupply mission to the International Space Station for NASA. This is SpaceX's 81st mission for 2023 and the 6th and final Dragon flight to the International Space Station this year. We lifted off from Kennedy Space Center's Launch Complex 39A just about 4 minutes ago. And as a reminder, today's mission marks the second flight for this Falcon 9 booster, which previously supported the Crew 7 launch earlier this year in August. This is also the first return to launch site for a cargo mission, which helps improve refurbishment and relight times for Falcon 9. And what you're seeing on your screen again is a live view on the second stage, looking at the NVAC engine there. For the first stage, in order to make its way back to landing zone 1, it does have a couple more burns to execute. The next burn is the entry burn, and that's where we will relight
Vehicles
3
are
of
on
the
a
9
nominal trajectory.
Great call-outs there. Nominal trajectories for both vehicles. The entry burn is where we will relight 3 of the 9 Merlin 1D engines. This will help to slow the stage down as it re-enters back into the upper parts of the Earth's atmosphere. Then the third and final burn will be the landing burn.
Bueno, ignoren esto que está un poquitito bug. Esto es la animación, pero vamos a regresar la primera etapa. Que va regresando a tierra, va regresando a landing zone 1.
90,000 pounds of thrust, which is just enough, lighting one engine to touch down for landing today.
Sí, estoy viendo, tenemos mucho delay, sí. Pero bueno.
We are just about 15 seconds or so away from that entry burn beginning on the first stage vehicle.
Ya se viene el encendido de reentrada.
4 grid fins on the first stage to help guide the vehicle back to its landing zone. They are 4 hypersonic grid fins comprised of titanium that are positioned near the top of the first stage.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
Ahí está, se confirma que se ha encendido. 3 de los 9 motores Merlin 1D.
Just about 15 seconds
Stage
or
1 entry
so.
burn shutdown.
Y apagado.
And very quick burn, but as you can see, those engines shut down on your screen. That concludes the entry burn for the first stage vehicle. And you can kind of see the grid fins there with a little gleam of light on your screen.
Stage 1, FTS is saved. Vehicles
stage
continue to
also
follow
has-
nominal trajectory.
Excellent call outs. The first stage vehicle also has 4 landing legs near the base of the vehicle, and that they
Stage 1
are
transonic.
used
Se bajó de la velocidad del sonido, la primera etapa.
before touchdown of the vehicle.
Y se viene su aterrizaje.
And if successful, this will mark the 243rd time that we've recovered a first stage booster, and that includes Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy missions.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Ahí tenemos el encendido de aterrizaje.
That call out, the landing burn has begun. You can see it there on your left-hand screen. Let's watch as Falcon 9 touches down.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
Despliegue de las patas de aterrizaje. Y aterrizaje. Muy hacia el lado. Pero aterrizaje.
And an awesome sight to see.
La primera etapa B1081 se ha recuperado exitosamente por segunda vez.
Landed for its second time and has previously supported the Crew 7 mission in August earlier this year. This marks the 238th
Stage 2
successful
terminal
landing
guidance.
for an orbital class rocket. Now, next up in a few seconds, just about 20 seconds or so, will
Stage
be
2,
the shutdown
FTS is
of the
saved.
shutdown of the MVAC engine that you see ignited there on your screen. That event is called SECO, or second engine cutoff, and that'll be the first shutdown of this MVAC engine.
Y ya casi en breve se verá el apagado del motor de la segunda etapa. Ahí tenemos el apagado. 27.000 km por hora. 197 kilómetros de altura.
Nominal orbit insertion.
Y se confirma que la inserción orbital es nominal.
We have just had SECO and heard a confirmation of good nominal insertion.
Ahora en unos minutos la cápsula Cargo Dragon se estará separando de la segunda etapa.
Which is a couple minutes from now. We expect to have a live video of Dragon separation from the trunk, looking back at stage 2. CRS-29 will be joining the Crew 7 vehicle currently on orbit, so we'll be back to having 2 Dragon spacecraft docked at the International Space Station. As for cargo, today we will be delivering more than 6,500 pounds of science, research, crew supplies, and vehicle hardware to the orbiting laboratory and its crew. And to date, SpaceX has sent and brought back over 300,000 pounds of crew and cargo to and from the space station. Again, the Dragon separation from Falcon 9's second stage should be coming up here in just about a minute or so. And as a reminder, this is the second flight for this Dragon capsule, having previously supported
Increíbles.
space in August. Today's flight also marks the 21st reuse of a Dragon vehicle overall.
Vale, estamos a pocos instantes de la separación de la cápsula Dragon.
16 Draco thrusters, each with
Pocos
the capability
minutos.
to deliver 90 pounds of force. There are 4 pairs of these 3 thrusters spaced evenly around the capsule, and that helps control and guide the vehicle, as well as 4 forward bulkhead thrusters underneath the nose cone. Now today, the vehicle does not have Super Draco thrusters, seats, or life support systems, as it's not carrying crew, and this saves on weight in space and also allows for a faster refurbishment time. Now, while initial designs of Dragon carried solar arrays extended outward from the trunk, the cylindrical structure located directly behind the Dragon capsule, the current Dragon has these arrays fixed directly to the trunk. And you may see a dark side of the trunk and a light side of the trunk. The dark side is those solar panels, while the light side is a radiator to help keep the spacecraft cool. Once the Dragon capsule reaches the International Space Station, it will be able to autonomously dock using its navigation sensors, centerline camera, and light detection and ranging or LiDAR equipment. The Dragon capsule is connected to the trunk beneath it via the trunk claw and connects thermal control
Vale, estamos a pocos segundos.
system components between the trunk and the capsule. And another fun fact, once on station, Dragon can serve as an extra module for science payloads lacking room on the space station, which we refer to as Extend the Lab.
Dragon separation confirmed.
Ahí se confirma la separación de la cápsula Dragon.
On your screen, the Dragon spacecraft has
Estas
separated
imágenes internas de la cápsula, imágenes de la carga dentro de la cápsula.
Now, if you're just now joining us, you're watching a live broadcast for the 29th commercial resupply mission to the International Space Station for NASA. This is SpaceX's 81st mission this year and 6th and final Dragon flight to station for 2023. We lifted off just about 12 and a half minutes ago from NASA Kennedy Space Center Launch Complex 39A in Florida. And coming up in just a few moments will be the nose cone opening for the Dragon capsule. All right, so that will do it for me here in Hawthorne. So we are going to send it over to Chelsea in Houston to talk us through the nose cone opening. Chelsea?
Thank you, Jesse, and welcome back to the International Space Station's flight control.
Bueno, la cápsula Dragon se estará acoplando con la ISS próximo sábado a las 10:21 horario universal. Mientras tanto, la misma realizará diversas maniobras orbitales para tener ese encuentro con la Estación Espacial Internacional.
It separated from the second stage of the Falcon 9 rocket and performed a number of automatic checkouts, doing small firings of
Ahí tenemos imágenes desde la cápsula, desde el trunk de la cápsula.
Nose cone deploy. We already got confirmation that these latches, the things that are attaching the Dragon nose cone, are starting to come off. This is a process that's going to take a couple of minutes, and then that nose cone will begin to pop off. So let's talk a little bit about why we want this nose cone deployed. The nose cone protects the docking hardware that is needed to attach the cargo Dragon spacecraft to the space station for its 1-month stay, so nose cone deploy is a critical step in our timeline today. The nose cone also unveils 4 forward bulkhead thrusters, which Dragon will use for its major burn maneuvers to catch up with the space station. There will be a checkout of these engines just minutes after nose cone deploy, and the nose cone also protects Cargo Dragon's navigational sensors during ascent. These rendezvous and tracking elements help the spacecraft understand where it is and where it needs to go to reach the space station. So overall, the nose cone is there to protect the docking hardware, the forward bulkhead thrusters, and the rendezvous and tracking elements during launch. And now the nose cone is in the process of opening up so the spacecraft can use those elements. There are 2 sets of 6 latches positioned around the docking ring, so 12 latches total need to be unlatched before the nose cone can swing open. This could take a couple of minutes to complete, and once they're open, then the nose cone will start to slowly swing open. This is a process that could take
Bueno, tuvimos una nueva misión exitosa. Bueno.
This mission is all about cargo. It's astronaut food, it's science experiments, it's hardware, all being delivered to the crew's doorstep in space. They're in their sleep period right now, but they'll wake up to the news that their package is on its way. NASA astronauts Laurel O'Hara and Jasmine Mogbelli will monitor the spacecraft's arrival on Saturday. We're waiting for confirmation of a good nose cone deployment of the spacecraft, which can take a few minutes for those latches to open. But after the nose cone is open, Mission Control will continue to monitor the spacecraft's journey, including a scheduled phase burn that the cargo Dragon will perform autonomously. That burn is expected to begin just a short while from now, with the engines firing for close to 12 minutes in duration. Going into Friday, the spacecraft will perform an additional 5 burns, all with the goal of fine-tuning Cargo Dragon's path to the International Space Station. Moving on to early Saturday here in Houston, the spacecraft will be in the vicinity of the space station. A team here in Mission Control will work closely with SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. They'll monitor as the spacecraft autonomously moves through the steps and checks required for docking. Today's Cargo Dragon will be parked in the space station's Node 2 forward port. Node 2 is also known as the Harmony module, and it has been unoccupied since NASA's SpaceX Crew 6 crew departed the space station in September of this year. The Crew 6 spacecraft was a Crew Dragon. Its departure brought NASA astronauts Steve Bowen and Woody Hoburg home, along with their crew members Sultan Al-Niyadi and Andrei Fadjayev. But in its place will be today's Cargo Dragon when it docks on November 11th. NASA's Anna Schneider will be here in Mission Control with live coverage of docking Saturday morning. But this spacecraft has a lot of milestones to hit before it arrives, including the opening of the nose cone. It's a step that the spacecraft is working on right now. We're waiting for confirmation that all 12 latches around the docking ring are open. And those rings are open and the nose cone is starting to open up. So you're getting the view from the inside of the Cargo Dragon spacecraft. We're looking at the nose cone now. This is the very tip of the spacecraft, the tip of the rocket you were looking at on the launch pad. This is the nose cone opening up, and right underneath it we'll get a view of the vacuum of space. This nose cone will stay in this open position until the very end of its mission, closing once again just before the spacecraft re-enters Earth's atmosphere to provide some additional protection to that same hardware. This Cargo Dragon spacecraft is expected to return next month, undocking from the space station's Harmony module in early December, bringing back science experiments and other supplies back to Earth. Again, on your screen, you were seeing some motion moments ago. This is the nose cone of the Cargo Dragon spacecraft opening up. This maneuver was allowed by 12 latches that unhooked themselves, one set of 6 at a time, allowing free motion of the nose cone that you see in motion here. This nose cone deployment started just almost 7 minutes ago, and now the nose cone is opening and we're looking at the vacuum of space from the point of view of the Cargo Dragon spacecraft. Just because it's no longer on your screen does not mean it's fully open. It has a couple of degrees more to go before we get confirmation of good nose cone deploy. As a reminder, opening up this nose cone allows for access to the docking hardware underneath, critical for the Cargo Dragon spacecraft to attach itself to the space station. It also unveils the forward bulkhead Draco thrusters and navigational sensors that Dragon will help to
Bueno, hace unos segundos veíamos el deploy del cono de la cápsula.
We've temporarily lost our live views.
Y a ver, segundito que tengo actualización.
And just like that, we just got confirmation.
Bueno, no me da justo que Teo publicó estadísticas del lanzamiento de hoy. Wow, buena imagen, buena imagen. Pero bueno, estadísticas de la misión de hoy. Lanzamiento 164 en la historia desde la plataforma 39A. Lanzamiento número 62 desde Cabo Cañaveral en 2023. Lanzamiento 71 de SpaceX desde el 39A. Lanzamiento número 77 de un Falcon 9 en 2023. Lanzamiento número 215 de una primera etapa reutilizada. Y bueno, básicamente esas son las estadísticas de la misión de hoy. Además de las estadísticas de bueno, misión 81 para SpaceX, la 80 exitosa, recuerda que falló uno que fue el primer lanzamiento de Starship, el lanzamiento 182 del año en general, con intención de llegar a órbita, lanzamiento 172 con éxito, hubo un fallo parcial que fue el cohete Vega, y 9 fallos. Y bueno, no sé qué más comentar. En infrarrojo esa imagen, sí, en infrarrojo. Por cierto, Teo, estoy mirando, gran parte de la cobertura se envió doble. O sea, se duplicaba el mensaje.
Artificially grown mass of cells or tissue that resembles an organ, so in this case, the brain. The overall goal of this experiment is to study the aging process in cerebral organoids derived from normal individuals and those patients with accelerated aging that may or may not be displaying hypersensitivity to UV radiation conditions, similar to what living organisms are exposed to during spaceflight. So this experiment will help us learn more about the effects of space conditions on our brains as we prepare for even longer duration space flights. And of course, the crew will be busy unpacking Dragon, and they are always excited to get the fresh food. As you mentioned earlier, we have some holiday type food the crew can enjoy, like turkey, cranberry sauce, cheeses, and chocolate.
Sí,
So
este es el directo de NASA. A ver si el SpaceX aún sigue.
Some
Sí, el
science
SpaceX aún sigue, sí.
sounds awesome. So looking ahead, 1 month from now, Dragon has completed its mission.
Wow, agregaron el chat para los directos en Twitter. Agregaron un chat de que está SpaceX lo tiene deshabilitado, pero hay chat ahora, ojo.
they bring home research cargo as well as systems hardware that needs to be refurbished before we return it back to station. So the station is like our home and has equipment that needs repair and maintenance occasionally too. We are planning to return a few items on this flight for repair, including a resisted exercise device flywheel that provides the forces to simulate some 1G exercise for the crew. Another is a camera assembly that provides video feedback during our on-orbit robotic operations. And we're also returning the hardware that is part of the environmental control system for the plant habitat for repair. So this control unit keeps an eye on the humidity and other environmental factors within the plant habitat. So if you've seen pictures of tomatoes or peppers recently from station, they may have been growing in that facility. As far as the research over the next month, the crew will complete many experiments, and then a lot of that research will come home for the scientists to have in a pretty rapid timeline. So that allows them to get their results pretty quickly.
Christy, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Sure, thank
Y
you.
bueno, gente, dejaríamos el directo por aquí. Espero les haya gustado, pero que fue un poquito más lioso de lo habitual. En principio empecé 10 minutos más tarde por problemas con la conexión a internet. Y bueno, ahora mismo voy a tratar de iniciar ese otro directo desde el otro PC para poder, o sea, para que puedan seguir la trayectoria de la cápsula hasta su acoplamiento el próximo sábado a las 10:21 UTC. Entonces, los de la NASA se están despidiendo también. Así que bueno, gente, muchas gracias por haber visto el directo. Nos encontramos en la siguiente. Adiós.
Thanks again for joining us tonight. We'll leave